Now this is the Harvest Moon I've always known to love. There's crops, cows, characters with bad personalities. I mean, it's beautiful here. What's not to love? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Help! Help! Oh, what the? Who are you?
I'm the new Harvest Moon in town.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Harvest Moon to me.
This video is sponsored by Baddie Kitty. Stay to the end to figure out how you can play this game for free.
Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is TheNinaGabriella, and on the channel we talk about all kinds of cutesy sort of games, mainly Harvest Moon related and fashion related stuff, and a little bit of Japanese culture in the mix, but today we're doing something a little different. Today we're talking about another Harvest Moon. I think I'm going to start this as a series as comparing games to Harvest Moon, which we know here on this channel, if you're subscribed, which you should be if you are not, okay, that Harvest Moon is the OG. Throughout the times, Harvest Moon has changed quite a bit, so I think it's always good once in a while to compare a new game that looks very promising, similar to like Fields of Mystria, Stardew Valley, and see how that game compares to our one and only Harvest Moon. So depending on when you're watching this, the Steam Next Fest has just finished, and we had a couple good demo games come out during the Steam Next Fest. But one game that has caught my eye and the eye of many others is Sugardew Island. This game has been said to be heavily inspired by Harvest Moon. So I was a little excited for it, but I feel like when I see these type of games, I can get a little peculiar, especially when I see inspired by Harvest Moon game. So I kind of wanted to talk about it today to figure out, is this game worth your money? Ugh, in this economy, we really gotta start watching more reviews about games. Which is why I'm here, so. The full release of the game should be coming out this week, depending on when you're watching it, and should be coming out for Nintendo Switch the following week after as well. So, basing this off of just what I had played, we're kind of talking about this game to see if it's worth buying that full release price, especially if you're someone who is thinking about buying it. Now, if you already played the demo, we're kind of here to have a little chat to see our thoughts about this, and if we like it enough to really buy the full release of this game. Let's get into all the details and talk about it. Now, if you're new here, hello. If you didn't know, I am doing a giveaway on my channel because we have recently reached 10,000 subscribers. So if you didn't know, be sure to check that link in the description so you can make sure to enter the giveaway before it ends. On top of that, if you are new here, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. I love making these videos for you guys, and trust me, as a girl who loves all these different type of games, it is awesome to talk about them with you guys. So be sure to keep checking it out. For those of you who have been here already, I am thinking of making a Discord channel very soon for our members, and a Patreon if you like some exclusive content where I can see you guys behind the scenes of like my crazy chaotic world and things I think about. So I'd love to see you over there. I'm still figuring out the details, just a mini update. But enough with this mini rant, let's talk about Sugardew Island. Harvest Moon DS/DS Cute was one of the first Harvest Moon games I've ever played and is by far one of my favorites. It's a game that has always stuck with me, it's a game that will always treat me right, and if you didn't know, this game is quite a delight. We're going to be comparing this game to Sugardew Island. If you've never played this game, I highly recommend you pick this game up. It is the bomb. So I kind of want to compare it with this game. Maybe I'll compare it with a couple other Harvest Moon games as well, but they seem to be people who really love the Harvest Moon series. So let's talk about Sugardew Island and compare it to Harvest Moon to see how good the game is.
Welcome to Sugardew Island, your cozy farm shop. A cozy haven where you can relax, unwind, and find the perfect escape from daily life.
Alright everyone, hello. Today we are talking about Sugardew Island. This game just released on March 7th for Steam, Nintendo Switch, PS5, and for Xbox Series X. With this game just having had release, depending on when you're watching this video, just a couple days from me making this video. Now, to be honest, I didn't think I was actually going to make a video on this, but to be honest, I'm really making a video on it because I didn't love the game as much as I thought I would. I'm a bit disappointed because I'm always excited for a new farming-like game, and I wish I could come on here and talk more positively about it, but let's just kind of go through what the game is before I get into my whole review. So like in most, well, farming sort of Harvest Moon type of tropes, you go through this shipwreck and this crazy storm, and you are awoken on a deserted island. I'm pretty sure we just talked about a video with that same exact trope talking about Harvest Moon. What was it, the Lost Valley, or what was it, Skytree Village? I'm pretty sure same trope. I think most farming games just stick with that. I mean, don't love it, don't hate it. I mean, I guess it's a little better than the unalived grandpa that seems to happen in every farming trope as well. So while you're on this deserted island, you find out that this island used to belong to a place that had harmony between forest folk and humans. But the humans, I guess, became too greedy and tried to take their share more than what the forest animals had wanted, and this created kind of like a huge magical kind of ground response, and unfortunately that left it inhabitable to humans. So you are the first human that has arrived in this weird unknown amount of time, and it's up to you to bring harmony back to the land. So how do you do that? Well, you got to bring harmony back by accepting quests from the harmony tree. There's these 5 little islands, so to speak. They're more like little areas that each animal inhabits, and as you sell stuff in your shop and you do farming, that's how you collect harmony, and that's how you, well, fulfill the quests of the harmony tree. So like I said, pretty standard stuff for a farming game. There's a little trope, so on and so forth. I think the best way to kind of look at this game is to kind of break it down in a couple points. We're going to start with the visual appealing. How pretty does the game look? We'll talk about the gameplay itself, the story, how fun is the story actually? How does the game compare to other life simulation games? Like, is it just another farming game, or is a farming game that is better than other farming games? And then last, we're going to talk about that price and if it's worth that price. So let's kind of start with the visuals. I think the visuals of the game are actually pretty nice. This 2D animation you'll see right here is the only 2D animation you will see from basically the rest of the game. The rest of the game, they are created in these 3D models. Creating your character is a 3D model. There is no genders in the game, so I think that's a nice touch. I also think that there is no genders for anybody else in the game, so that's actually kind of nice. But customer characterization, I think, is, overall well. It has this kind of cute, bubbly, aesthetic sort of appeal to it. I'm not a huge fan of 3D animation models, but I can always respect them when they're done well. I don't think there's like anything super special about these characters, but I think they're okay. They have a couple skin tone options, so that's nice. It's not anything crazy, I want to say, but it's enough. I don't hate it. I'm pretty sure the models of the 3D animations that they had used for this was from another farming game as well. So I won't say that like these are the most creative models either. These look pretty standard for just, some other farming sort of games. So I'm not saying this is like the ugliest, not saying it's the best. I'm just saying it is what it is. So, that's a thing. But what I really want to get into is talking about the gameplay. Oh my gosh, guys. I didn't actually hate it at first or dislike it, but it's like the more I played of it, the more disappointed I got. It's kind of like you play so much of it and then you realize this is it. You feel kind of like you're in endless purgatory of just farming. Let's get in that. Let me slow my roll because I'm talking too fast, okay? So right off the bat, you see this beautiful kind of lush area of where you will be living on your farm. All of this is yours. You can use it the best way you like. They don't really get too much into like the farming mechanics, but I think they're pretty easy to figure out. But that's kind of where my disappointment starts. What you might think is a lot of area to do your farming in really isn't. You kind of get like 2 areas, which I believe can be upgraded or expanded, but for the most part, this is kind of it. There's kind of 2 parts on this island. So this area that we're looking at right now is the forest area where you can go to the quote-unquote islands of where the animals live to bring harmony to them. But that's it. There's no like town map. There isn't like a villager area because I guess there is no humans on the island. It's just here. Let me just show you the map. Here's the map. So you have your farmland and then you have the forest land, and that's it. And while it might look like they're further away than they are, they really aren't. It's just 2 sections, and within those sections there are little pockets of where the animals live, and that's it. I think that's the biggest disappointment of this game. Like, if I'm gonna compare any game to other farming games, I just want there to be more, I don't know, life in it. It's a life simulation game, and I get it. It may be starting with a little less life, but if the point is to bring more life in, I thought that might also include humans. So that's the part I'm kind of getting a little confused about. I get it that the humans were greedy, but I think a better trope could have been to not only bring animals back, but to also bring people back. And that's another kind of issue I have with the gameplay. I feel like when I was looking at the inspiration for Harvest Moon, I feel like they might have been inspired by Harvest Moon The Lost Valley or Harvest Moon Skytree Village, which was an abandoned area that you could farm in and you had to bring people back to the land. So if we're comparing to those games, I see where the inspiration is taken from, but let's kind of compare this gameplay to something like Harvest Moon DS. Now, if I want to compare it to a DS Harvest Moon game, the biggest ones that you can compare it to would be maybe Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar, Harvest Moon DS, what was that other Harvest Moon game? Sunshine Islands, or Island of Happiness. There's a lot of Harvest Moon DS games that I could see a little bit of inspiration taken from this. I want to start with Harvest Moon DS just because I feel like the inspiration might have just been from the fact where you are just going to be in kind of a rundown area and your role is to bring the farm up. You know, in Harvest Moon DS, there are a lot of parts that are kind of boring or repetitive that you have to, you know, really grind at to keep the story going, because, you know, in the full spectrum of the game, you're supposed to like collect these little sprites that live in the Harvest Moon area, and that's how you beat the main story of the game. But in reality, you are supposed to get married, you know, meet the villagers that live in the town, grow your farm, and get money to kind of expand that farm. So I really love that about Harvest Moon DS, because not only, you know, is it just a Harvest Moon game, but it feels a little grindy. It feels like, you know, you really gotta work at trying to get those endings, and I think that's what makes the game so lovely. But going back to Sugardew Island, I think that is what I'm kind of missing. There's nothing about this game that makes it really feel special. The thing that frustrates me, another thing that frustrates me, I should say, is that there is not a lot of life in this game. Now, they add this kind of romance aspect to the game where you meet these sprites, or sorry, not sprites, spirits. These spirits of the game are actual romance candidates. They're all basically, in my opinion, the same person, just different models. They don't look very interesting. Like, you have a fire spirit and a, I don't know, water spirit, and to be honest, they don't really add much to the game, nor do they really take anything away from it. They just kind of stand around, and the only way to really interact with them other than talking to them is accepting their requests, which gets that more grindy aspect to the game, because these requests require a lot more time and you get a lot more money, but you don't get any harmony, which would help you achieve the end goal of the game. I don't know, the idea of romancing the spirits just seems odd to me. Like, I don't know why you would be romancing the spirits of the land, and I don't know what that really entails. Now, I didn't get far enough to, I don't know, see if there's any heart events, although from what I've been seeing, there's not really any sort of, like, I don't know, heart events with them, but, you know, you can romance them for whatever reason, and that's a thing. I just feel like that's something that they didn't really think too much about. It was kind of just something, an add-on to the game. It's kind of like, hey, you know what, we should add romance in the game. Just let them marry the spirits. I don't know if this was a thought-out thing, because it's like, okay, we're romancing, but are we getting married? Are we having children? What is almost the purpose, other than, like, I think the fire creature looks cool, so I want to get cozy with him, you know, in this cozy game. You know what I mean? It's just, it just seems like a thought they didn't really think too much about, and almost makes me frustrated, because the romance is like one of my favorite things in some of these Harvest Moon games. Now, I'm not gonna lie, some of the Harvest Moon characters from the older games look like straight up children to me, which just was very off, but I will say, you know, they do look like, I guess, adults to some extent. I don't know. I just don't think that it was a very thought out idea, and it's kind of frustrating to see that it being implemented, but not to the full extent that it could. Like, if you're gonna add romance, add romance. Don't half it, you know, like, you know the word I want to say? Like, just do it, because if you want to promote this as a cozy farming game, then just be a cozy farming game. Don't try to do everything. But let's go back to the gameplay mechanic itself. Farming. Now, I played this on my Steam Deck and actually had not really any issues with the farming. I think as far as, like, gameplay-wise, I didn't have too many glitches. I think it might have looked glitchy, like, I don't know, some of the graphics kind of was phasing in and out on me, which kind of could be an issue for someone, but it wasn't super bad to me. I didn't hate the farming mechanics. I didn't love them either, but I will say the amount of stamina you lose is so fast that it almost gets frustrating. Like, the day would start, I'd do a little bit of farming, and then my stamina is depleted, and all I could do for the rest of the day is, well, nothing. Well, not nothing. Let's kind of get into the second part of the game that I haven't talked about yet, which is you can run a shop in this game. So there is a little side shop, which is basically how you will be able to collect harmony. The more people who buy stuff from your shop is how you collect harmony, and that's how you complete requests. And the more requests you do, the more animals you bring back to the land and brings harmony to the harmony tree. Now, there is no actual clock system in this game. There is only just night and day, and the store can only be opened once a day. So if you're like me, what I did during the day is I'd spend all my time farming, and then when I'd run out of stamina, I would open up my shop, and then after you're done working in the shop, it turns to night. So I guess at that point you can continue farming, or you could go to sleep and it will be the next day. But it just kind of feels almost like purgatory in a way. I don't know, that's my own personal opinion, because it's just night, day, night, day, night, day, and no time is really passing. So you then start thinking, well, there's no seasons, there's just farming. And I feel like that also is a huge part about missing the experience from a farming or like a life simulation game. Is like, how is it life if I'm just stuck in this never-ending cycle? I think this is a great game to compare to something like Hometown Story, and I already have a whole video talking about this game, but this is a Harvest Moon spin-off game that is all about running a shop. I think it has very similar mechanics and is a DS game that had, or a 3DS game that had come out a while back. Honestly, I need to change the title because this is like the Hometown Story ripoff, because it's basically the same game, and to be honest, they're kind of on par with each other. I really think that this is almost the same game, but just in Hometown Story, I think the characters just have a little more oomph to them. From what I can remember, there is no season changing. There's not a farm system in Hometown Story. It is mainly just focused on the shop running. So I will say it is nice seeing a game like Sugardew Island that has both, and I think that is something that Harvest Moon could take a note of being able to run a store. But if we really look at some older Harvest Moons, think of Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar. Now, if I were to suspect a game that this probably was more inspired from, was probably Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar, just because it has that factor of owning a kind of store on top of being able to farm. I just think that Grand Bazaar still done it better. Granted, this game is super old and you can't really see that great of a visual of this game. This game was done well for a variety of reasons. The characters were interesting, the farming was not difficult. The in-game time system really added to the story, being winter and fall and unlocking these kind of new events and stories of the town. It just did so much right. And even the marriage system, when they said we're going to add people in here to marry, they weren't kidding. We got people in here to marry. Granted, they look like children, so I can't say anything for that. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I think its inspirations that this game had to come from did it better. And while I am always happy that someone is inspired by another farming game, I just wish they would have maybe taken more notes of what makes some of these older games a bit more iconic. That kind of leads me into my next point, talking about the story of the game itself. I think when you compare Sugardew Island to a game like Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar or Harvest Moon DS, while the story wasn't the main point of the game, well, it was the main point, it wasn't the main emphasis of the game. You know, there was a lot of side things you could do that wasn't heavy grinding of the story. Now, let me just add in here, though, this game is said to have about 15 to 20 hours of gameplay within the entirety of the game. So when I put it into that perspective, I can talk about this game a little less harshly. This game is supposed to be cozy. It's supposed to be something where you don't have to worry about a time system. You don't have to worry about the stressfulness of there being this heavy story. So I feel like for some people, if that is what you're looking for, this is that game. You know, when you think about something like Stardew, maybe, how that game is a bit more expansive, there is a storyline that has not necessarily a time crunch in it. It is still work at your own pace, but this game almost has no storyline to it. It does, but it's like you don't have to feel this like urge like, oh, spring or fall is coming, I gotta hurry up and get the spring crops done so I can finish that request. It's more of like, hey, you know, you can just get to it when you get to it. I just think that the idea of cozy games have really shifted and changed based on how some of these newer cozy games are. It's not just Animal Crossing, it's like Animal Crossing Plus, you know, not only are you just decorating homes and inviting villagers, but like you can do a lot more with that. And I think that is what really stands out amongst some of these other cozy games. And I think for this to be dropped the way it did, some people were expecting some of those things, when in reality, I think this game is just supposed to be, well, a cozy farm shop game. It says it in the title. So I think maybe it's wrong on me for expecting more when they just tell you what it is, but I think everyone is still entitled to their own opinion, and I think based off of what we've seen for some of these other games, I think it's fair to make this kind of point. But pulling the reins back a little bit, I believe this is an indie game company, so I don't want to speak super harshly on it, because I'm not saying that this is a bad game. I'm just saying that I don't think this game is very special compared to some other really good indie developed Harvest Moon inspired games. I think this game also took a little bit of heat during its Kickstarter with the title, so I know they had gotten some backlash over that. I think also this game had a couple other, or at least the developers had another game that didn't get finished, so I know that they had taken a little heat for that. So, just trying to speak on this in another positive note, I do think if you are a person who doesn't like all of that extra stuff, like if you're a person who maybe plays Animal Crossing leisurely, this could be nice for someone. This is kind of that cozy game. You don't have to think about all the extra stuff. You don't have to think super advanced into romance. You don't have to think about, oh my gosh, I got this quest to complete, this quest to complete. No, you get 15 to 20 hours of leisurely Harvest Moon similarities of fun. So I think if that is the cozy experience you're looking for, this is what this game is. Now, I think I've said a lot about the gameplay and the story and kind of roped those into a similar category. Let's last talk about the price point and see if you guys think this is worth it. So this game is sitting at a good $16.99 price. Now that is the regular price. This video at the time it's coming out is on sale for about $15, but generally it is about $17. Now, do I think that's worth it? Yes and no. $15, I'd say go for it. $17, I don't I don't know. I'm going to be completely honest, like $17, while that isn't a lot of money, I feel like this game is almost on a similar level of entertainment as maybe a phone or a mobile game. Like, I can think about some of the Harvest Moon games that are out on mobile devices. Like, I believe, I can't think of it right now. I believe the Light of Hope, or I think it's Seeds of Memory. I want to say it's Seeds of Memory. It's a Harvest Moon game that is out on mobile devices that is $10, that has a full-fledged storyline that is generally a bit better than this. I can also think of some other Steam games that have a maybe more fleshed out storyline. Like, if you could get Stardew Valley for cheaper than this and have way more to do. I think it really just depends on a consumer of what you're looking for. Me, myself, I hate to say it, but I don't think it's worth the price. And that's just me speaking from personal experience, knowing that I only paid about $12 for Stardew Valley, and I've been playing that game on every platform, and I paid $12 for it each time, and I can't put the game down because I know there's still so much more to do it in this. Knowing that this game caps out with about 15 to 20 hours in it, and I spent maybe $15 to $18 on it, I don't know if that's really worth my money. Now that's just coming from me personally. Now Harvest Moon games back in the day were a lot more than this, but I do think you would get a lot more in those games. Those are a lot more full-fleshed out. Being that this game is supposed to be a little more on the smaller end, it's not supposed to be a super rush sort of game, just kind of peaceful, so you really make out of it what you want of it. I think it really just depends on if that's for you. Me, personally speaking, I can't say I had the greatest experience just from what I've played in it, and I don't know if I can really recommend everybody paying the full-fledged price for it. Now, $15, okay, maybe I could justify the $15, but for, I don't know, almost, $17, $18, I think it's one of those things like you might have a little extra change around the house and you said, hey, why not? I got something to do. Ugh. Overall, though, I don't think this game is awful. I just am a little disappointed knowing that, you know, this game was heavily inspired from Harvest Moon, and I was just kind of expecting some, I don't know, a little more like life simulation like items in this game, and I just don't think I really got that, and that's just more on a personal note, a bit saddened from that. But don't let my opinions deter you from trying out this game if you would really like to. I just wish this game had a little bit more. I think that's just what sometimes games need. You know, I think this could have done really good if it had maybe like a co-player aspect to it, or maybe they added like something, I don't know, some magicalness to it. I don't know, just give this game a little, I don't know, something to make me feel like I need this. Right now it just gives me kind of the lukewarm feeling of like, maybe, maybe not. But that's just my personal opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I will say that is the one thing that I really do miss in Harvest Moon games, is just if we had some multiplayer. But that actually brings me into today's sponsor. Let's get into it. No, I think I'm gonna hop on Baldur's Gate in a little bit. I know, I wish there was a game on Discord or something we could all just play together.
What if I told you there is?
Who said that?
It's me, but you know, a mysterious voice, I guess.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of perfect. Yeah, kind of what we're looking for.
Well, I have just the game you can play.
Oh yeah, sure, let's try it.
This video is sponsored by Baddie Kitty, and this sponsor is actually a free video game. You can actually play this game right on Discord, which many of us already have to play games on. Any message chat on Discord, just type in Baddie Kitty and you'll find this game. Instructions are pretty simple. You'll see a bunch of little crazy kitties on the run, and as the police officer, your job is to catch them. You can play the game solo, or you can play with friends. The game is actually pretty addicting and honestly really challenging solo. Playing this game with friends is a lot more fun to get through some of the difficult levels. Me and my friends sat here for a good hour just playing this game on Discord and actually had so much fun. Or if you don't have any friends to play the game with, there's already a cool Discord community server where you can hop in and just play with anyone.
Thanks, weird mysterious force. We finally have something to play now.
If you'd like to try it out, the link is in the description below.
Now let's get back to the video. So that's all I really have to say about Sugardew Island versus Harvest Moon. I like the Sugardew Island demo of what I've played of it, but there are just a couple things that I was missing. And for the price tag, I honestly don't think it is awful. I just do have my little hesitations. You know, when I see games like this that are beautiful and cutesy and stuff, I just wonder, is the gameplay going to be worth my time and money? That's the biggest things for me. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button if you want to see more games like this. Really excited for some future videos, and thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye! Oh my gosh, really quick, if you're at the end of this video, I've received so many art submissions. You guys are so amazing. I'm gonna be doing a video very soon where you guys can see my art wall. If anybody else, if you want to put some art on my wall, please send it to me. Like, my email's over there somewhere, so please email me some really cool art. You guys have been so super sweet, and I love you guys, and I'm super thankful for it. Anyways, this is the end of the video. I just want to say thank you for the art. It looks amazing. You guys are so really freaking good at art. I freaking love it. Sorry, just bye.